Good morning, everyone. My name is Neiman Young. I'm an Assistant City Manager for the City of Corpus Christi. And I just wanted to, first of above all, thank you all for joining us today and sharing in this press conference. As you all know, the city's been very transparent about the Yorktown Mud Bridge, and we want to continue to utilize all our resources to include our media partners to get the information out there to the public, detailing the importance of this specific project. As a brief history, if you will recall, on Monday, December 12th, the city initiated an emergency closure of the Yorktown Mud Bridge. This closure was as a result of a washout that led to the damage of the bridge's riprap embankment due to erosion. City staff began developing a plan immediately to repair the mud bridge with the assistance of city contractors. The plan calls for repairs on the bridge's east and west channel banks. The project was initially expected to take 1 month. However, as we did a more comprehensive review and survey of the bridge, we identified additional repairs that were required, and we are now anticipating that those repairs are going to be complete in the March to April timeframe. Regarding the updates on the specific repairs, we're going to have our Public Works Director, Ernesto De La Garza, give you all an update as of today. But before we do, I again want to stress that we are working very diligently to get this important and critical corridor reopened to the public. And this is going to be accomplished by 3 phases. First, repairing the embankments, which is defined as phase 1. Then phase 2, repairing the pillar work on the underside of the bridge. And then finally, phase 3, we'll be working closely with our partners at TxDOT to have the bridge replaced. And we're anticipating that that's going to take place, as you all know, a year earlier than originally planned. TxDOT has committed to reviewing the timeline to build the bridge, and it's anticipated that the work on the replacement of the bridge will begin sooner than 2026. We're anticipating that the project is going to take place in 2025. However, do note that there are some deliverables and actions that need to be taken prior to the commencement of the replacement bridge project. That includes the rerouting of utilities and conducting an environmental assessment. We all understand that this is a terrible inconvenience to the residents in Flower Bluff and on the other side of the bridge that utilize this corridor as a main thoroughfare to get to work and get to school. But do note that behind the scenes, city staff is working very closely and very hard with our contractors and other partner agencies to make sure that we get the mud bridge reopened. With that being stated, I'm going to turn it over to Ernesto, and then we'll close out with any questions that you all may have.
Good morning. I'm Ernesto De La Garza, Director of Public Works. And for our update, as we mentioned before, we have completed the east channel bank repairs. The Shot Creek has been poured, that's been complete. And then we have started the work on the west channel banks, and then those ones should be done by next week after we pour the Shot Creek, so that's going to be done. Our subcontractor, Southern Road and Bridge, is going to mobilize next week, starting January the 16th, to start the work on the pile repairs, and then any other repairs needed underneath the bridge. So somewhere in the middle of next week, you'll start seeing activity in the water, and that work will begin as well. Again, they gave us a projection of the 70 working days that we mentioned at our council meeting yesterday. That one is also depending on tide and weather. And then we also discussed the concern that if tide or weather increases the time frame, we would communicate with our contractors the issues, if any, with the hurricane season, if that became an issue, but that's not till June. So we don't expect to be anywhere in that time frame. But again, this is construction, and so anything could happen in terms of tide and any issues that we might run into. But for right now, we're projecting a 70 working day time frame. And then as far as our funding is concerned, Public Works Department will be using $2.5 million in our capital improvement funding to address bridge and rehabilitation annually, and the department has developed a plan to work with our on-call structural engineer to review also all the reports for our 68 bridges that do get that do get inspected by TxDOT. So in addition to this work that we're doing on the current bridge, we're currently working on our maintenance plan for all our existing bridges as well.
Thank you, Ernesto. I really want to take this opportunity to thank Ernesto and his team and our city contractors for all the hard work that's been put into opening up this critical corridor. And we will continue to host weekly updates and press conferences to ensure that everybody's informed and aware on how that project is progressing. And with that being said, we'll open it up to any questions. Yes, ma'am.
Rachel Pop for 6 News.
Yes, ma'am.
You said that this is going to be $2.7 million from your capital improvement. Initially, wasn't the funding source identified from another source, or was it always planned from the capital improvement fund?
You want to speak on it?
Yeah, so it does come from our stormwater fund, our stormwater fees, and then those ones in terms of our capital improvement program, that's, pretty much the program that we're pulling from that funding, but it is from our stormwater fund.
Okay, so it's from the stormwater fee. What typically is a stormwater fee used for?
So you'll see work in our city's ditches, any issues with curb and gutter, storm drain system, where we go and maintain the stormwater system in terms of the curb and gutter. You see sunken curb. Then also we have vac trucks that go around and capture any water that's ponding in the streets. Pretty much everything under our storm water section of Public Works is used for with that funding to handle that kind of maintenance. And then also the bridges, of course, the bridges that are on system and then off system, the money will be used for that as well.
So then essentially in taking $2.7 million that you were not anticipating out of the stormwater fee to account for addressing the mud bridge, how does that impact potentially doing the other work?
It does impact our potential future work, but we have to reprioritize. It's the same with, say, for example, our water line break at Staples in McCardle. Same situation there. We have to account with for the emergencies and then reprioritize some of our maintenance plans to account for the expense that we incur. So that's just part of business at Public Works.
How much is currently in that fund?
Currently in which fund?
The stormwater fund.
I have to get back to you. I don't have that number off the top of my head. Anything else?
And I do really appreciate you all bringing up the fact that we do now have that dedicated stormwater fund. It's absolutely critical, and the lack of having that fund is representative of some of the issues, legacy issues that we dealt with in the city over decades, to include traditional flooding areas like in Flower Bluff and in North Beach. It's by that saving grace that we do have that dedicated revenue funding stream now that was approved by City Council and embraced by the public. And because of that fact, we are now able to have a more robust bridge maintenance program and ensure that our inlets are clean, and we're ensuring that we are addressing flooding and drainage issues across the city. All right, do we have additional questions? No? Well, as always, we appreciate you all's participation in this conference, and again, assisting us with getting that information out to the public to keep everybody informed. And we look forward to seeing you all next week for the next media event. Thank you all.